In this video, I'm going to talk about the unknowns, the things that cause us stress, the mysteries in our life that keep us awake at night, and of course, Scooby Doo. For some strange reason, I've been thinking about Scooby Doo recently. And you remember Scooby Doo. I watched Scooby Doo my whole childhood. I loved that show. It was one of my favorites. I lived and died for that show. My wife, one time, her dad took her to the circus as a special event. And when she realized that she was gonna miss Scooby Doo that day, she cried so hard that her dad had to leave the circus with her and take her home so she could watch Scooby Doo. That's how much she loves Scooby Doo. So we love Scooby Doo in our family. And Scooby Doo always had this very predictable sort of paradigm to it in terms of the way the story was structured. So essentially, it was a story about mysteries. They would encounter this group of mystery problem solvers, sleuths, would encounter some mystery, and usually it had a supernatural, I think it always had a supernatural sort of feeling behind it. It was ghosts, it was ghouls, it was vampires, it was Frankenstein monsters, it was all kinds of things. And everybody was afraid, and all the people in the town or that were around were scared to death of it. And these sleuths would come in, and through the process of the show, they would find clues. Mostly Velma would find them, and Shaggy and Scooby would look for food and eat food. And then at the end of the show, Velma, with a little help from Daphne and Fred, would eventually unveil that there was nothing mysterious, nothing supernatural, nothing strange about any of this. It was all very explainable with scientific, logical, rational explanations of the world. And, as I have grown up, I understand that show on some level, but there is also a level where I realized that Scooby Doo lied to me. And Scooby Doo lied to you too. I understand the motives, of course, now I'm being serious, of teaching young children that there's nothing to be afraid of, that many of the things that they fear, they don't really need to be afraid of, those things aren't real. And I get that, and that is wonderful, it's a great motive. But there's something about implanting also the belief that everything in life on some level can be explained. There's always a mask that you can just take off and easily and quickly understand the truth, and that things in the world can always make sense and can easily make sense if you just know what clues to look for and you use rational, logical methodology. And yet, as I grow up, I am finding more and more that it is in the places of mystery, in the places of the unknown, in the spaces where I don't have everything figured out, in the spaces where I'm confused, that I find some of the greatest, most important insights about my life. If you are in a space right now where you're feeling pretty confused about your life, where life feels like a mystery to you, and you're not sure how to solve it, and really you'd just like to go hunt down a gigantic submarine sandwich that you can put in your mouth in one gulp to ease that confusion, let me share 3 thoughts today, 3 ideas that might help you in the path of understanding the power and the beauty of that. And let me start here. I feel like there are 2 kinds of ways that people kind of deal and interact with the world. One is intention, and the other one is flow. Now, if you're involved in any kind of self-help, if you've ever read any books, you're probably in that genre, you're probably very familiar with the idea of intention, which is you create a clear idea of what you want for your life and how you want it to be, and then you put all your energy behind making it a reality, and that is how you create the life you want. My cousin Matt is extraordinary at that. I've been around him at so many times where I've just been sitting there and he said, I'm gonna do this. This is exactly what I'm gonna do. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna do it, but this is exactly what I'm going to achieve. And then he puts all his energy and mind into accomplishing that, and he accomplishes it. And because of it, he's very successful as an entrepreneur in real estate, but he's also very successful at, we go someplace and there's some fun activity and there's a prize, and he's like, I'm gonna find a way to get that prize, and he does it. That's intention. I'm not an intention guy, I'm a flow guy. And what I mean by that is, I put my energy into kind of being me and doing what I do. And I never know exactly what I'm gonna achieve. It's kind of an organic process. It is kind of a mystery. And every great thing that I've done in my life has turned out that way. Here's a funny thing to say, but nearly every strategy I've ever had in my life, every clear plan, it's never worked. It's never worked. It's always the stuff that was the unexpected, weird, mysterious, unknown stuff that I stayed open to. And because I was putting myself out into the world, I was like a guy floating down a river not knowing exactly where he's gonna go. Intention people, they like climb mountains because they know exactly what they want and it's at the top. Flow people, they're like going down a river and they never know exactly what's around the corner, but they're kind of being themselves and living as themselves in the world and finding great opportunities. I find that as I have understood that about myself, that I'm a flow person, it's made me much more comfortable with the mysteries of my life, the unknown things, because I believe in my heart that those unknown things, the things I can't control, they are leading me to spaces that are really good for me and that are actually the best for me. And so I'm getting more comfortable sitting in the mysteries of my life and the things that are unknown and a little confusing and not feeling the need to unmask everything or I feel completely out of control. And when I can feel comfortable with that, when I look back at the stories of my life, it was the times when I felt like I had to grip so tight and be most in control were the times when I probably needed to let go. And so I'm getting more and more comfortable with that. I'm still not perfect at it, but I'm more comfortable than I used to be at it. And that leads to the second thought, which is, it's a very good possibility that life knows what you need better than you do. Whether you believe in a higher power or not, I think all of us have to agree that there are things in life that are bigger than us, things we can't control. And in fact, many of the things that are most important to us in life, we can't control. I love my wife, but I can't control whether she loves me back. I love my work, but I can't control if people are gonna love my movies or going to love my presentations or all those things. I kind of just have to go into the world being me and giving my heart and my best and my spirit, but not knowing that I can control everything. And I think there is a spirit that we all, whatever you believe as a big picture worldview, I think we all have to go into the world with a sense of faith that life holds something good for us. That's kind of what hope is based on, right? The idea that there is good out there for us, that it is a benevolent world, and that there are good things in store for us. And oftentimes it is in those mysterious places that we find those great things, that we find the unexpected, wonderful things that were beyond what we could plan and better than what we could plan. My best things in my life, if I list off my very favorite, most wonderful things, things I'm most proud of, things that I'm so glad happened to me, almost all of them were things I couldn't control. All of them were things that because I showed up and I worked every day and I gave myself and I put my heart out there every day, they were things that kind of came. Now, don't confuse me by saying that you don't take action, because you do take action. It's just that the action looks a little different. For me, action is putting my heart into the world every day, sharing who I am without exactly knowing strategically what it's gonna lead to, but being comfortable that that's okay, For those of you that are real strong intention people, that may sound like lunacy, but to some of you, I just lifted a great weight. And here's number 3, and it's probably the most important one. It is within the spaces that you can't control that you find yourself. We try to control the world to make it into what we want it to be, and then when it's not when we want it to be, we feel despair sometimes. But it is in those places where we can't control, where there is mystery, where there's even some confusion and unknown, that often we're forced to ask ourselves the very hard questions about what we really believe, about ourselves and about the world. And you may be in one of those spaces right now, where something is just not going the way you want and you can't understand why and you don't know what to do about it. And this may be the most important time of your life. It may be the time when you're forced to really ask the questions about what you believe deep down, about yourself and your potential, and what you think is possible in the world and possible for you. And it is working through those very hard questions, but coming to deeper, more real truths that change your life, that push you into places where you end up doing things and finding yourself in ways you could have never imagined. And it was all because of those mysterious spaces that you couldn't control and you couldn't explain, and there weren't 3 clues that were going to lead you to a clear answer. But your willingness to sit in that space, to know that even though today you may not have a clear answer, you may not know exactly what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it, but your willingness to stick with the process and to believe that there's something good for you on the other side, even though you can't, like Velma, expose the mystery perfectly in 30 minutes. That's okay. Stay with the process. Build your faith. Know there's something good by staying with it and not rushing too quickly to an answer that might short-circuit your process of really understanding yourself at a deeper, more personal level. So stick with the unknowns. Oftentimes we just want to say, well, I don't understand this, but here's my 2 answers. Here is a 5-line explanation of this problem and the world and whatever. And that kind of, we force that intention so we can just go climb the mountain. But sometimes it's better to sit in the river for a while and just trust that it's leading you to a great space, even though you don't understand it. But go deep, and let it hold something for you. I love Scooby Doo, but I don't think I'll ever watch it the same way again, because I know that even though there's a level in which there's wonderful ideas and fun and entertainment in it, at a deep level, we need to be okay with the mystery and okay with the things we can't control, knowing they are leading us to beautiful spaces that are opening the world in wonderful ways. If this video was helpful for you, I hope you will subscribe, like, share, comment, wherever you found it. And you can check out my website, brettculp.com, for more inspiration, videos, writings, all kinds of things that might be helpful to you. Have a heroic day.